Good morning and welcome to our Wellness Wake Up today. I'm so excited to be here with you, whether it's live or in the replay, because today we're talking about the third agreement. I'm really excited. And this one I find to be really challenging because of how fast it happens in our brains and how unconscious it is. So the third agreement is to not make assumptions. Don't make assumptions. Easier said than done. And the author here, Don Miguel Ruiz, talks about the fact that the issue that comes about when we make assumptions is that we believe these assumptions to be true. And then we go about not being impeccable with our word and kind of like ruining our relationships oftentimes because we are attached to this assumption. And then we oftentimes take it personally when someone either doesn't assume things the same way or they don't see the world the same way as us. So yeah, he says it almost like feels like this spiral where when you make an assumption, you oftentimes will take something personally and then you end up making this whole drama. And that he says this pretty bold statement. And when I was thinking about it, I really agree with it, that all the sadness and the drama that we've experienced in our lives is rooted in making assumptions and taking things personally. So if we can work to notice when we're making assumptions or reprogram that agreement to not make assumptions, we won't take things as personally. We'll be more impeccable with our word, and then we'll live in this heaven on earth instead of this like self-created hell of making these assumptions, getting attached to them, taking it personally, and just like being sad and upset and having all this drama. So he recommends that instead of making assumptions, we ask questions, we get curious. And something that he says is that we have the courage to ask questions. I really liked that, to have a bit of courage. So, so oftentimes we're doing things or we're thinking things and we take it personally, and then we'll blame somebody for reacting poorly. And then we make assumptions and we send them this negative emotional poison with our words. That's that impeccability with our words. So it's like all interwoven together. And I really like what he was saying about when you're afraid to ask for clarification, that's really where we get into trouble of making assumptions. And so we then believe that we're right about our assumptions and we try to defend them and try to make somebody else wrong. I see this all the time. I think about just the way that we interact with one another, with our family, with our friends, with people we don't know. Like the being impeccable with our word is really right defending, like we aren't very impeccable when all we're doing is defending our position because we have this assumption. Man, this chapter was so good. I have so many notes that I want to share. So it's always better to ask a question than to make an assumption, because assumptions will set us up to suffer. That is such a good reminder. I feel like I need to read that in the mornings. We only see and hear what we want to hear. We don't see everything. We don't hear everything. And so I think that this is a big one amongst like friends, like and family. Like we assume they heard, we assume they saw what we did or what we thought they saw, and we don't see everything. We see biasly what serves the assumptions that we've made. And I just really think that that's a powerful kind of reframe. If you don't understand, again, ask and have the courage to ask and find your voice to ask for what you need. I was like, whoa, that was really good. That was such a little golden nugget. Without making assumptions, your word becomes impeccable. Again, kind of fusing these agreements together. And then we make assumptions because we don't have the courage to ask. Assumptions are made so fast and unconsciously, most of the time, because we have these agreements with how we communicate with each other, and they're pretty fear-based. It's kind of like how he starts the book out. And the idea is that we've agreed that we shouldn't have to ask people questions, and that if people love us, they would know what we want and how we feel. But that assumption, again, is setting us up for suffering. And instead, we need to get the courage to ask what somebody means, to ask for what somebody's truth is, and then to have the courage to ask for what we want. I think that that's so powerful and important. We assume that people that people see the world the way that we see it and judge the world the way we see it, that they feel the way that we feel. And this is why we have fear around asking others questions, clarification, because we think everyone else will judge, victimize, and blame us like we do ourselves. And so even before others reject us, we've already rejected ourselves. I think that this is so juicy. I'm gonna have to sit with this for like a week and work on this, because I am currently working on this. Like, I judge and reject myself every day. I have a voice, or like the devil on my shoulder, a big voice in my head, very critical, that's always telling me how things could be better, how I should have done things. And I've noticed it's really caused me to not show up, not to share on social media, not to share with my friends. And so I really want to work on reprogramming this agreement that I have, because if I can work on that self-love, then I can be more loved by others and love others more too. I think that that's the biggest key, right? And that we talked a lot about with don't take things personally, because we block ourselves from receiving the love. It starts with us, and then we can feel it with other people in our world. Okay. Two more thoughts that I wrote down, and then I'm off to the park to do yoga and a cold plunge just by my house. I'm really excited. It's been really fun. So after many repetitions of these new agreements, they become habit. So first, we have to become aware of all the habits and the agreements that we default to. So these are often the fear-based ones, where we are making assumptions, we are taking things personally, we're not being impeccable with our word. And then we can plant new seeds, which are the 4 agreements. Currently, we have don't make assumptions, don't take it personally, and to be impeccable with your word. And then as we practice them over time, they will become our defaults. They will grow and become the things. So it's more work in the beginning to reprogram these beliefs and agreements, but over time, it will become our default, and then it will happen unconsciously. Okay, last one. When you transform your dream or your reality, you become a white magician instead of a black magician. And the reason that he says that is because in the first agreement with being impeccable with your word, we are spewing all of this emotional poison, and he calls it black magic. And so once you become like an intentional white magician, you then comes the mastery of the intent, the mastery of love, the mastery of gratitude, the mastery of life, which is the goal of this Toltec wisdom, this Toltec path. And it becomes a path to personal freedom. So I just love this book. Every time I read it, I feel like I can never read it enough. There's just so much more to get out of it. And someone I was talking to recently really said it well. Every time I come to read it, I've gone through more life, and so I'm able to apply these 4 agreements to more life that I've lived, and to see, oh, I wasn't impeccable there, or heck yeah, I really didn't take that personally. And so it's just deeper each and every time. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I will be diving into the 4th and final agreement on Wednesday next week. I hope to see you either in the live or in the recording. Leave me a comment if you gathered any nugget from this. I'd love to know what stood out the most, if you are practicing it, how it is for you, or maybe which of the 3 agreements so far has been your favorite or the hardest, the most challenging. Thanks again for being here, and I will see you next Wednesday. Have a great day.